Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here on the Hagenstedt map. Let's get back to reliving the glory days. You sort of walloped up against each other with this. Okay, I was expecting them to have stopped a little bit sooner than that, not actually drive into each other. So yeah, at the moment we got all like the little areas of forestry that I was used to seeing as a kid and growing up, and well, for the last 20 or 40 years, they're all disappearing. They're all being cut down, completely clear felling the whole lot. And I mean, it's something that's got to be done. It's the forest is grown, the pine trees are grown for timber supply. The whole point of growing them was to be able to harvest them many years later. And once they're harvested, then the areas are cleared of stumps, or some of the stumps are cleared just to allow room for planters to get in. And then they're replanted with more trees. Now, in the 50 years since they were planted, I was going to say 40 years because they were planted in the 60s, and obviously it's only just turned to year 2000. But that was about 20 years ago, so now we're looking at 50 to 60 years ago these trees were planted. Anybody feel old yet? Anyone who's listening to this, who knows what I'm talking about, these forestry areas, do you feel old yet? Or anybody anywhere? You know, I'm referring to the 60s. The 60s weren't 40 years ago, right? I hate to have to bring this information to you, but the 60s were not 40 years ago. The 60s were 60 years ago, down to about 50 years ago. Well, a bit more than that now, but yeah. The 60s was 60 years ago. Do you feel old yet? I don't particularly feel old. I spent my whole life just, well, not my whole life, but I spend a large chunk of my time playing computer games and doing other such childish antics. And I'll be honest, I don't think I'm ever actually going to be feeling old. Maybe I will one day, but I don't at the moment. But yeah, I just find it amusing that the 60s were actually 60 years ago and not 20 years ago or 40 years ago or whatever it might have been. So anyway, back to the subject in hand. The trees, they're all being clear felled. It looks a little bit strange, looks a little bit weird, but that's the only forest that I've ever really experienced. So Bjornholm for me felt very strange as a map because it's set in a big forest, isn't it? Like, the whole area is forested. You got trees absolutely everywhere throughout that map. There's big patches of pine trees all over it, all different types, fir trees, different types everywhere. And it's a little bit different to what I'm used to, and I'm wondering if it's that much of a difference, because like the Sosnovka one, although that is different, kind of the more open land, there was still enough hills and stuff in the Sosnovka one to, you had some sort of character to the landscape. But I think it was the combination of sort of hills and open space, which is a little bit more familiar to me, because I grew up in an area, if you exclude the years that I was travelling abroad, I mostly grew up in an area of moorland in the UK, which is kind of similar, I suppose, to prairies in the US and Canada, just not flat. Like, lots of hills. Like, picture lots of hills everywhere, and flat land pretty much doesn't exist. It's just hills everywhere. So kind of like the Bjornholm one in that respect, but no trees. Other than the odd patch of forestry land that the Forestry Commission went and planted, there aren't trees everywhere. There are a few trees, and they are usually thorn trees. There's blackthorn and whitethorn is the two main trees that grow on the moors. You get gorse bushes, but that's not really a tree, that's a bush, it's a small shrub covered in thorns. And yeah, the trees they don't stand tall and straight like the trees that you see here. They don't grow like that. They grow over to one side. So if you have a tree that is sort of growing on a hedge, you can always tell which direction the wind generally blows, because the tree starts at the hedgerow. Let me just climb out here a second and just give you, a bit of a visual on this. So say we've got a tree right here. This is about our height right here, okay? So we'd be looking at a tree that's about half the height of that one over there. Now, if the prevailing wind is coming from that direction over there, and we've got our tree about here somewhere on a hedge, then yeah, it starts right here where we are on this bit here, and it would be maybe our height. And then the top branches of the tree would be over here somewhere. Yeah? Leans right over. Some of these trees are blown so far sideways, they look like they've fallen over. The branches are just about trailing the ground. I mean, they're not all like that. Most of them aren't. Some of them are. Most of them just sort of go up and over like that. There's not a single branch sticking out that way. You've got the main trunk here. There won't be a single branch off that side of the main trunk. Everything is leaning this way, fairly sharply in some cases. That is the country that I live in. That is the countryside that I live in. The wind never stops blowing. So, seeing lots of hills everywhere. Sosnovka, Bjornholm, they both had hills. Bjornholm had more hills than Sosnovka, but they both had hills. That is similar to what I'm used to. The bit that really made a difference is that Bjornholm is full of tall, straight trees. Yeah? Trees that have obviously grown in a climate that doesn't have wind howling through continuously, without ever stopping, without let up, without any break whatsoever. The wind does not stop. Ever. And if you think the wind may die down a little bit, then please refer back to statement number 1. The wind does not stop. Ever. And occasionally the wind won't actually be howling, and it will just be a gentle breeze of 30 or 40 miles an hour. And, that's a nice calm day. And then it goes right up to properly howling. And it never, ever, ever, ever stops, which is why the trees are all leaning over to one side. And it always comes from the same direction as well. So you can build your house, you can make sure the draw on the chimney is fine, and you don't need to worry about the draw on the chimney sort of causing you issues, because the wind's never going to stop. So you'll be fine on that. Very, very rarely the wind may change direction slightly, and I suppose that might cause a bit of an issue with draw on your chimney, but usually it's not much of an issue. This field's a bit bigger than I thought. I suppose any field is bigger than the one that's right next to the cattle yard. There's a bit of a step right there. I think we need to do something about that. There's another bit of a step down right there, but that's not so much. But the other one a little bit further back. We are going to have to do something about that. And I think now that we've got these 3 fields here, getting a bigger tanker is definitely something that we should be looking at doing. Because that's going to be... Not only are we spreading more all at once, but there's the increased capacity of the tanker. And it's the increased capacity that is particularly attractive to me right now, because I'm running around doing 8,000 litres at a time. So I am going to finish it up this time. I believe the tanker that we were looking at, the Zunhammer here, is 18,500 litres, so it's more than double what we get in this one. So it is pretty good. Definitely going to make a bit of a difference. I don't know sort of how much difference. Obviously, later on, if we do decide that yes, we're going to keep going with this whole organic approach to the cattle and just using slurry and manure, we will use a Stevie tanker of some kind so that we've got a bit of increased capacity and we don't have to keep running backwards and forwards all the time. We could just have the helper refill from the silo option and turn that one on, It is quite a good option. I do like that. Then you can basically just role play that we're using an umbilical system, and so it's pulling it direct from the yard. That's a very good possibility that we'll end up doing that. I do that now on the time-lapse series anyway. I've just got a really large capacity tanker, and I've said that we've got an umbilical system for it. And I think that works out fairly well. It was using the slurry at a very, very slow rate as well, but I did actually go back and tweak it. I don't think I mentioned it in any of the videos, but I have tweaked it a little bit, so it is using the digestate a little bit more than it was on that series, but I just sort of tweaked it a bit to make it seem a little bit more realistic, so I'm actually having to carry digestate back to the farm on a more regular basis, which seems to have worked now. I think I've got sort of achieved a balance with that. This one, I like the idea of having... I don't want to be in a situation where we've got the hired help buying slurry. We're not going to do that. But automatically taking it out of the storage and using it directly onto the field, I think that is something that we will end up trying. While that one is working over there, we're going to have this one here, and we're going to put it away in the shed. I suppose we could actually go and put the tree cutter and the stump, you know, the wood chipper and so on. We could put those onto this one, onto this tractor, go over to the new field and have a little bit of a chop up. Something I was thinking of doing anyway. Right, let's go to here. You are already repaired, looking good. And we'll repair you, and then we'll repair you. You really needed a bit of work done on you, didn't you? Right. This one away in the shed, and that is another job done. We've also got a bit of work to do here in the yard. We want to be able to lay things out down here and sort of get that tidied up. Let me just put this one away in here, and I'm pretty sure I am supposed to be getting another solar panel. Let's have a look. How many have we got? I'm going to go to you, miscellaneous, and I say miscellaneous instead of miscellaneous so many times. Fairly sure that most of you are convinced that's how I actually pronounce that word. 3 kilowatts on this one. We have 7 of them so far. And current fieldage, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fields we own at the moment, which means that we can purchase another one, should we wish to. Helper H has stopped work unexpectedly. That was remarkable timing. That was genuinely remarkable timing. I'm quite impressed with that, it must be said. I'm going to smooth out this little bit of road. That bugs me that it's got that sort of little bit of a bounce on there. It shouldn't really be there, not on a road that we use as much as this one. So we'll go in. Oh, excuse me. We'll go in and we will just smooth that out a little tiny bit in just a moment. We'll get another load in here. We will do an outside round on this field, and then we'll go and do that. Then we can also, we've got tractors and stuff to put away as well in sheds, although we've still got to do a round of fertilizer on the fields, so we can go and look at that. I've got 1 load and a little bit. So that field up there has got fertilizer on it, apart from just a bit around the edge, so we probably won't bother with that one. These fields here, they do need fertilizer. So I've got my 8,000 litres here, and then there's not very much left. So we are going to be doing quite a bit with the manure spreader today, in order to be able to properly spread everything out on the fields. I mean, yes, we would like to eventually not have to worry about the manure spreader at all and just do slurry spreading, and then any manure we get from our work, we put that it gets taken straight over there to be sold for a vast sum of money. A vast pile of cash. But we're not going to be able to do that today. We're going to be using up quite a bit of that, so we'll see how far that gets to spread. So I'm pretty sure that this does go a lot further than the manure does. We'll soon find out, won't we? Right. Time I get round this field once, I'm going to be just about empty on this tanker anyway, which means that we can go and get our next load. Take you all the way up to there like that. Back you round. And then head up this way. And then we can just sort of set it go. I'll set the hired help going along the top side of the field, and it'll run a little bit. And we can take a look at... What were we taking a look at? I was about to take a look at something. I had already looked at the solar panels, so it wasn't that. It was nothing to do with that. Get back around here. Oh, I don't know. What was I looking at? What was I going to do? Oh! I know what I was going to do. Landscaping. I changed tractors just temporarily there. Landscaping. I was just going to come up here and I was just going to smooth this bit off. That's what I was going to do. So if we go in here, we'll make that a little bit bigger, and we will also go Control E and make it more powerful as well. There. So there's a bit of a bump in the track, and it's right there. I can see it there. Do you see that? There's a pronounced change in the track there where we just went across, and here is not really much of a difference. Tanker is empty. That right there is another little bit of a bump in the track right there. Just smooth that out up to that bit. That was it. That was all I needed to do. Go back to you over here. I've got one more little bit of slurry that I want to go and get. That's all of the slurry that we have got on our farm at the moment, and we'll switch over to doing manure spreading. We can't go and spread the fertilizer yet. We'll have to wait until the morning to do that, because we need a growth stage in order to be able to allow us to do it. But we can, if we're taking a bit of time to sort of finish up this stuff here that we're doing, what we could do is we could go and get started on some of the landscaping that we want to do around the yard. Now, I know that we want to buy root crop storage, and we want to be able to put those in, but we got to do... Well, I suppose actually we want to put them in first, and then we want to landscape around them, don't we? I think so, actually. That might be a better way of doing it. In which case, we're going to want a bit more cash, so we can't really get started on that. So we've just got to do this bit here. Bring you up there. I guess I could do a bit. Like, I could just, like, smooth it out so there isn't field there. So I'm, like, making a bit of a start on it. Anyway, no, actually, I don't need to worry about that. While that's working, I can just go over to here. So I've got that one that needs to go back to the cattle yard anyway. So we're going to drive this one back. We've got 2 combines to put away in the shed, because those aren't going to be used for our next crop. We are using sugar beet harvesters. We're going to need those ready and raring to go. We've got corn sitting in our truck waiting for a decent price. And we also want to go and cut down that tree that we were looking at. Well, a couple of trees over in the corners of the new field. There's one tree that I don't think really is going to make much difference. And then there's the other one that is... Right, so look here. That's better. A little bit of a bump coming off the bridge, but well, I guess we'd kind of expect that. But, yeah, there's... You're going to... What's this like? No, that bit's fine. Alright, that's all good. So, yeah, there's 2 trees over in that new field. One of them... don't think it's going to make much difference to anything, but we could take it down while we're over there. And then, of course, we've got the other one that we need to do something with as well. Now, what I am going to do here is We come whizzing on round this way, and I'm going to get started loading this stuff up straight away using this tractor. So the other one is still going at the moment. He'll be finished before we've even hitched in properly. Maybe not. Let me know. Right, get you on there. See, this one takes 10,500 litres. It does actually hold more than the other one. And I'll put you on there. I'm curious, if I just have a look into the cows a second, how much manure have I got? I've got 93,000 litres of the stuff now. So we got a fair bit here. Let's fire you up, lower you down like that, and Helper C has stopped work unexpectedly. It's not all that unexpected, to be honest. Kind of expecting that to happen. This one here, though. There we go. Oh, of course, yeah, it only does it to like 99% for some weird reason. I don't really know why. And I'll just leave that unhitched there like that. Back you on round. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to drive it down to the other end of the field, and I'm going to start the spreading from that end, and then once I've set this one going, I'll get the other tractor and I will drive that one back up here. We're going to need a way to repair our machines up at this side, on this, like, this part of the farm, aren't we? So we keep things up here. I hadn't even thought about that. Perhaps I should have been thinking about it. It's definitely something that we need to consider, isn't it? Right, you go about there, I think, and start there with H. Right, it's a little bit of overlap right there, but that's fine. That's not going to hurt anything. And then hopefully it will run down to the end over here and turn to the right. It will stop right there. Excellent. Okay, that's working just fine, which means that I can then go back to this one. So you're all finished. There's nothing else that we can do with this one. So we'll drive it back. We'll unhitch the tanker and I guess we'll hitch the tractor back into the forage wagon, and then we can use that to bring some straw across to the cows. Not now, tomorrow morning. We'll do that in the morning when we need to. So this one can be put away over here. What I could do is I could actually put that snowblower over there, manure blower at the moment. We could stick that one on this tractor here, and then the other tractor doesn't need to be hitching in and unhitching. We can just use the two of them together. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what we got to do. We're gonna have these two. This one's gonna also do it backwards because we can actually do that. We go Control B like that. I love that. I haven't actually seen this one doing it properly. Console goes. Oh, that is beautiful. Never driven a tractor where you're going backwards. I'll be honest. You look at his feet there. He's comfortable. He's got room there. He spins round like that. He looks like he's a little bit more crowded in there. It doesn't look so comfortable. The steering wheel console looks lower. I'm assuming that that could be adjusted. That could be lifted up and pulled back a bit, and you could push the seat back. Is that right? I would hope so, because otherwise that's not the most comfortable of driving positions. Anyway, let's get this one hooked on here a minute. There. He's ready to go. He's ready and waiting and raring to go. You over here are still spreading. Actually, you seem to spread quite a fair bit with one load from this. So maybe slurry does spread a bit faster. Sure. And then I got this one here that I want to do some tree felling with. So I'm going to go and take the front weight off this one while those tractors are working up in the field up there. Gee, there. Lower you down. Unhitch that one. Then we'll go over here. I'll do the landscaping on the bit behind us over there for the yard tomorrow when we're doing our fertilizer spreading. So while the spreading is going on, we'll also go and do that other bit. So let's bring you back round here. Do it like this. And once again, just for those of you who are newer to the series and don't know why I'm not selling any of these wood chips. Not selling any of the wood chips because we've got this kind of method of removing the trees. I cut down a couple of trees properly, but it takes so long. I don't like doing it. It's a tedious job. I don't really want to be doing that. So I much prefer using this method. It's nice and quick and easy to remove the trees. However, it sort of feels like there should be a bit of compensation for removing the trees this rapidly, and so the compensation I have picked out for myself is simply that I don't get paid for the timber at all. I don't get paid for any part of it. I just shred the trees and they're done, and we'll just assume that they've been mulched back into the ground or something like that. But that's why... Also, it does take quite a bit to drive them all the way down the bottom. I could save up the wood chips and stick them in a big trailer or something. I mean, it's not that far to go with our truck, because that one does provide a fair turn of speed when we really want it to. But no, I thought it would be better if we just kind of did it like this. So that's why I don't sell wood chips or anything of the sort. Now, and bring you over here. So what we should be able to do is I bring this one here, and then I just back it up beside our tractor that we've got. Right there. And then I skip to the tractor here. Start that one up. Lower it down, and I can load this up. And chuck it right up on top of the heap there without any troubles. This tractor's fairly powerful. It's able to do just about anything it wants, really. There ain't nobody telling this tractor what to do. And now it's done. Right. Stop you there a minute. Let it wind down. And this one we can now go off and we'll go and spread this next load. Possibly this load is the only load that we will need to do. So this might be why manure does actually get a bit more value in the marketplace, because it seems like it may actually go a bit further than the other one. I know that there's 2,000 litres more in this one, so we've got an additional 25% capacity, and that's a fair bit. But you look at the amount of field that it's covered here. That seems to be more than just the 25% capacity. We're going to finish all of this with just 2 loads. Whereas the tanker, I did get all... originally I got across the top there. Like a load and a half, and then add 5,500 litres, which was good 2/3 of a tanker full. And we didn't get very much further, did we? So I'm thinking that maybe spreading manure is actually a better option than spreading slurry. But we get more money for it. It's a tough call. It's genuinely a tough call. Let's have a look, see what the prices are right now. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.